Hi and welcome. I'm Kamel Fisher at the LD Micro 14th edition in Bel Air, and with me is Mr. David Moore. Mr. David Moore is the Chief Executive Officer of BritePool, who is just about to merge with BIGtoken under the ticker FPVD. Welcome, Mr. David Moore. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Wonderful to have you. We're really excited to hear more about BritePool, BIGtoken. So please give us an overview of those companies and what's happening with them.
Well, it's a very exciting combination, and Chris McLino and I have known each other for 10 years, and we ran into each other at the CES show in 2019, and BIGtoken had just launched, and so had BritePool. And we actually started talking about a combination of companies then. And while it didn't happen right away, the time is right now, and we've signed transaction agreements. We're waiting for a share exchange, which should happen on or before November 15th. And we're very excited about the combination and its ability to accelerate as we go into 2022.
Wonderful. Now, with these two very compatible companies merging, and yet seem to kind of exist on two opposite sides of the marketplace coin, how does this merger come together, and how do you foresee it bringing great reward?
Well, the combination of the two companies is actually very complementary. BritePool had started in 2019 with the objective of using its technology to replace third-party cookies, which are an antiquated technology that is not accepted by Safari or Firefox, and Google's Chrome is close to getting rid of them as well. Same time, BIGtoken had gone out to do very ethical, transparent consent with consumers to allow advertisers to access their data, and as a result, they created a audience of 9 million people on a worldwide basis that had downloaded their application. Between the two of us, with the BritePool identity solution, our technology, of which we have 200 million that can be targeted now in lieu of third-party cookies, our integrations into the ad tech ecosystem, combined with the BIGtoken user base of 9 million downloads, gives us the ability together to make 1 + 1 = 3.
Perfect. Sounds like a match made in heaven.
I think so.
Wonderful. So when companies of this nature come together, how is the executive corporate structure decided on? And what will those leaders bring in terms of benefits?
Very interesting. One of the co-founders of BIGtoken is a fellow by the name of George Stella, who is president right now, and will continue that role when the companies are combined. Now, George and I worked together at 24/7, where I was the CEO. I've known him for 15 years and been very impressed with his abilities for many, many years, so it's great.
Right.
Now, at the same time, we're bringing over a big contingent of BritePool executive management. My business partner at BritePool is a fellow by the name of Bob Perkins. He's going to be the chief operating officer of the new BIGtoken, if you will. And he's got a storied career. He was CMO of Pizza Hut. He ran Chiat in New York. He ran sales, marketing, and licensing for Calvin Klein. He is a brilliant, brilliant executive. Along with him, Chris Hartley, our CRO at BritePool, will be the CRO of the combined company. He's a ferocious competitor, played basketball at Purdue, and is already helping to drive our sales and revenue efforts overall. We also have our general counsel coming over from BritePool, which is really important in this day of regulation and consumer privacy. Make sure we're doing everything according to how it should be done. We also have the original CEO Pathfinder, and you're probably too young to remember Pathfinder, but Pathfinder was the umbrella organization that housed all the Time Warner websites back in the early days of the internet. So we've got really battle-scarred veterans that know how to execute in the digital marketplace, which is not easy. And I think that the management team put together for the combined company will be one of the real keys to our success.
100%. Leadership is everything. Good leadership at that, right?
Of course.
So with the merger just under 30 days away from being final, what will this mean for your respective shareholders and their common stock holdings?
Well, I've been getting a lot of questions from shareholders, and they like to know how this is going to work. And frankly, there's four things that we intend to do. One, we want to continue the business of BIGtoken, where they use the user base, that installed base of 9 million users, to answer questions for advertisers and garner insights from them. The advertisers take those insights, use it to create better ads. At the same time, that self-identified group creates a profile on which we can target lookalikes, if you will, to sell them the product that the advertiser has. That will continue. BritePool has 200 million IDs that it's created on its platform. BIGtoken will be using those IDs to target those lookalikes. And one of the things we haven't talked about is the fact that the average consumer has 75 third-party cookies that are their identity. As a result, when an advertiser says, don't advertise to me more than 5 times, because if they haven't bought it, they're not going to do it in the future, people are seeing those ads 20, 30 times because of the duplicative nature of cookies. As a result, using our IDs to target becomes a much more effective, efficient way to create campaigns for advertisers, and look no further than the walled gardens of Google, Facebook, Amazon, Pandora, Spotify, LinkedIn. They're getting 75% of all the digital advertising dollars, and this year it's projected to be about 70 billion in the US. And the reason they're getting it is because they target identities, they don't target cookies. They're more effective overall. Right. That's what the BritePool ID can do for BIGtoken. Also looking at creating a digital wallet that can hold instruments of value, whether it's couponing, loyalty programs, test drives, other types of instruments that we think can offer a lot of value to the consumer and increase their activity. Additionally, we want to increase that base of 9 million as well. And finally, advertisers that have not developed those one-to-one relationships with consumers are looking for ways that they can do that, and we've got a solution for them as well, an identity solution business. So when you add it all up together, that combined with excellent execution, which is tough in this business, is, I think, a recipe for acceleration in revenue, in users, and value for our shareholders.
Wonderful. I think that's exactly what they want to hear. And so in terms of the verification technology that you use in making sure all the data is what it should be, can you touch on what that is about? And
well, it's very important that the user who opts in to load an application from BIGtoken understand that there's a very transparent reason that they're opting in, and their consent is ethically brought. There's no small print. It's very, very clear that this is what the proposition is. We will pay for your participation.
Wonderful.
And so from that perspective, we're very strict about how that occurs, and we believe that the way that consumers consent will stand up to any regulation, any new regulation, because it's really the gold standard of how to do it.
100%. Now, how does one kind of measure or enhance the integrity of the consumer's input? So when they're providing their data to whatever system, how do we ensure that is legit?
Well, we are very careful with that. And the only way that data is actually ever used with anybody else is with that consumer's consent on a continuous basis. Right. So when we do insights where users will answer questions for advertisers,
right,
we know their profiles because that's part of the quid pro quo when they downloaded the app, was to list, their ages and all the information that we need to really understand who they are. Right. We use that understanding, though, then to target campaigns to others like them. And we're not actually using their data to do that in that case. We're using it to project into who else might buy that particular product and go out with a campaign to reach them. So from that perspective, their data is always very secure. In the future, of course, we'd love to get that base of 9 million up to 500 million worldwide at some point in time, and that's going to take some time, and I can't give you any projection of when that's going to happen, but when we get to that point, you're going to be able to advertise directly to those folks and use the data that they've provided to make sure that the ads are targeted and something that they like to see.
Wonderful. So you're obviously familiar with Sequire, one of the products of Shrek's. Have you ever jumped into the platform, and what thoughts do you have around that?
Well, I have, and I think it's a brilliant strategy overall. We intend to embrace it with BIGtoken. It's going to be the main thrust of our investor relations, and I think it's a great product, and so is LD Micro, which I just found out the other day that Shrek owns as well. So
100%.
I think Chris Miglino's done a fantastic job with that, and we're very happy to have them as a major shareholder.
Wonderful, and we're happy to have you as a client. So have a wonderful rest of your conference. Are there any closing remarks you want to give investors, any takeaways for them, and also direct them to your investor relations community or page?
Yes, well, I will tell you that this is a big task. We have a very high valuation right now as a result of BIGtoken being spun off into a public shell, FPVD, which we anticipate changing the name to BIGtoken as well as the ticker sign. And I think the investors can be very confident on the executive team that we're all rowing in the same direction, and we are intent upon creating shareholder value in the long term as well as the near.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you so much.